Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings for Wednesday, August 1st. It is a new month and we do have a split slate today. Hopefully we can start off this new month on a good note, make some money today. Do have a 5-game early slate and a 6-game night slate, I believe. I will be covering both slates, talking about the early slate and the night slate. The pitchers that I like, the hitters, stacks, BVP plays. We'll cover all of it from both slates. I do already have my 5 plays plugged in. I'll talk about why I chose these guys, and I'll do the same for the night slate as well. But before we do get started, guys, make sure you drop a like on the video. I would definitely appreciate it. If you are new to the channel and you have not subscribed yet, be sure you click that subscribe button down below. I've seen we've been getting a lot of new viewers lately and a lot of new people commenting under the videos, which is something I love to see. So if you are new, make sure you click that subscribe button before you do get out of here. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and start off with this 5-game early slate. Talk about the pitchers and the bats that we want to target. So at pitcher, we have one stud on this slate, I would say. That stud is Carlos Carrasco. He's 11,400. Gets a matchup on the road against the Twins. I do love paying up for Carrasco on this slate. He's definitely the SP1 for me, especially on FanDuel. If you're playing FanDuel today, definitely play Carrasco in cash games at least. In tournaments, you can get different, but I would recommend playing him in cash. It's a good matchup. The Twins are without Brian Dozier. Dozier got traded to the Dodgers. Even though he's in the projected lineup, he's not going to be in the lineup, obviously, since he's on a new team. So that Twins lineup's going to look really bad for tomorrow. They have a low implied run total, just 3.9 runs. Carrasco a minus 175 favorite. Really like him here. I think he's the safest option on the board. Even though throughout this year he struggled against the Twins, just putting up 5.7 DraftKings points, an average of 5.7 DK points through 3 games against them. I still like Carrasco on the road. He's pitched a lot better this year, and just throughout his career, Carrasco's been better on the road. So at 11.4, I think I can definitely pay up for him, and he can definitely pay off this price tag. And then at SP2, I really like Sonny Gray here. Gets a matchup at home against the Orioles. Don't like playing Sonny Gray at home because his home and road splits are pretty drastic. He's not very good at home, but lately Gray's been improving, and at home lately he's been improving as well. His last two starts have both been at home against the Mets and against the Royals, 19 and 22 DraftKings points. He honestly could have had more DK points in that start against the Royals, but he did get injured, only threw 75 pitches, came out after 5 innings. So Gray could have had an even better performance in his last game. He has pitched against the Orioles throughout just this year. He's pitched against them 3 times and has done pretty well through 3 outings against them. An average of 23 DraftKings points. This Orioles team is so bad, we're going to want to target pitchers against them. No Manny Machado. They lost Jonathan Schoop as well. He got traded. So this Orioles lineup is going to be very bad. It's going to have a ton of strikeouts in it. Just love Sonny Gray here. Definitely think he has a ton of upside. 30-point potential is possible for Sonny Gray. Like we saw against the Orioles July 11th, excuse me. 31.1 DraftKings points. That's definitely possible that Gray gets somewhat similar to that today. So I like him at SP2. I think Keuchel is probably going to be a guy that people might go to, but I would much rather have Sonny Gray. I feel like Gray just has way more upside than Keuchel. But Keuchel is definitely like a pivot off of Gray if you want to play him, or if you don't want to pay up for Carrasco and you want to go Keuchel Gray, you could do that. But those really are the pitchers I'm on. Like, I don't like a lot of the other cheap options on this slate. Like Sean Manaea at 8K, I just don't think I want to pay for him when Sonny Gray and Keuchel are both there in price, who I'd rather play. Mike Fiers, not a guy really interested in just because he doesn't have much upside. Don't know really how much upside Fiers has at 7,800 if he's going to be able to pay off that price. I would say the cheapest guy I would consider would probably be Marcus Stroman at 7,200 against Oakland, but that's not really a play I'm in love with. Especially when he is 7,200, I'd rather get up to Sonny Gray, get up to Keuchel. Maybe if Stroman was like 6K or something, I'd have a lot more interest, but at 7,200, I think I can shy away from him. So early slate pitchers, it's Keuchel, Carrasco, and Gray. Those are the three guys I'm mainly focused on, with Carrasco and Gray obviously being my favorite of the 3. But yeah, now we'll talk about bats. We definitely have to find value at hitter since we paid up at pitcher. And Yuli Gurriel is a cheap value option I like here. He's only 3,300, and he gets a matchup against Wade LeBlanc, who is a pitcher I don't mind picking on because Wade LeBlanc, he's not a very good strikeout pitcher, doesn't get a lot of Ks. Gurriel does strike out a decent amount, but he's going up against a pitcher, like I said, that doesn't really strike people out. Gurriel's 3,300, getting the platoon advantage. I just see a lot of value here, and especially when I'm searching for value, I'm getting a guy batting in the heart of a really good lineup, even though the lineup for the Astros is not as good without Correa, without Altuve. This is still a lineup that can put up runs, and Gurriel should be batting right at the top of that lineup at 3,300. I do like him as a cheap value option at first base. And then in the outfield, paid up here for Giancarlo Stanton, who I love today versus Alex Cobb. I love the Yankees as a stack. If you can fit in the Yankees today, definitely stack them. They're going to put up runs versus Alex Cobb. Alex Cobb's just not good. It's a hitter's park. They have a 5.7 implied run total. Gardner, Stanton, Gregorius, Hicks, Torres. This lineup is in play for me top to bottom. Since it's a day game, they might get a little different with their lineup and put in some younger guys, which might open up some value. We might see them roll out a different lineup than what's projected. Guess we'll just have to wait and see for that. But yeah, just love the Yankees. Love this team. Definitely the top stack on the early slate. And I really don't think I'm going out on a limb there. Yeah, Stanton 5,100. Great play in the outfield. Definitely think he can take Alex Cobb deep here. Then another value play I like at the outfield, Mason Williams. Not a guy that I've really played at all this year, but he's going to be batting in the middle of the order for the Reds versus Mike Fiers, who is a pitcher I don't mind picking on. With Scott Schebler on the DL, with Adam Duvall getting traded, Mason Williams is in the projected lineup, projected about 5th. For just 3,200, he's going to have the platoon advantage against Mike Fiers. Like I said, Fiers is a pitcher I really don't buy into, a pitcher I do want to pick on. And when Mason Williams has gotten playing time this year, he's actually been pretty good for fantasy, been pretty consistent. He does have some speed. He can steal bases if he gets on base. Just gives you a little bit more upside there. Has homered once this year, so he's shown some power. I like Mason Williams here, especially like this price tag of 3,200 when I'm really searching for value. Getting a guy this cheap, batting in the middle of the order versus a bad pitcher, I think he makes a lot of sense if you're looking for a cheap outfielder. But yeah, guys, these are my 5 plays for the early slate. Carlos Carrasco, Sonny Gray, Yuli Gurriel, Giancarlo Stanton, and Mason Williams. Now we'll talk about the stacks and BVP plays on the early slate before we do move on to the night slate. So the top stack for me is the Yankees, and it's not even close. They're the team I probably want the most exposure to, but you can play the Indians. You can definitely consider the Indians versus Alberto Mejia, especially like if you're looking for value. You got Brandon Guyer there batting 5th. Obviously, he's a risky play because he could get pinch hit for if a righty comes in. But Guyer's only 3,800. He should get at least 2 to 3 at bats, and versus a bad lefty, you could definitely play Brandon Guyer in that lineup if you're looking for value. But obviously, the guys like Jose Ramirez, Lindor, Encarnacion, great plays. Do like the Indians here. If we see Rajay Davis, maybe since it's a day game, they bump Rajay Davis up in the lineup. He could potentially be a value play at 3,600. But yeah, the Yankees and the Indians are really the stacks I'm going to. Maybe the Reds, if you're looking for a cheaper stack versus Fiers, especially that game in general. I could see a game stack there because Sauer Mano and Mike Fiers are 2 pitchers that I really don't think are that good. And both of those lineups have a lot of value in them. So you could potentially look to a game stack in the Reds-Tigers game if you do want to go there. But yeah, I think that's it for stacks on the early slate. Now we'll talk about BVP. There's only a few BVP plays in the early slate, but we will cover them. Caleb Joseph gone 5 for 13 against Sonny Gray, and Tim Beckham gone 7 for 19 with 2 home runs against Sonny Gray. Joey Votto 3 for 10 versus Mike Fiers. Joe Mauer 13 for 32 with the home run versus Carlos Carrasco. And Eddie Rosario 4 for 14 with a home run versus Carrasco. Lastly, Nelson Cruz gone 12 for 36 with 4 home runs versus Dallas Keuchel. And yeah, that's it for BVP on the early slate. So we'll go ahead and move on to the night slate where we do have 6 games. And it's a night slate that really doesn't have a lot of good pitching options. Our most expensive pitcher on this 6-game slate is Rich Hill, 9,600. He gets a matchup at home against the Brewers, which we saw this matchup for Hill. I believe it was a couple starts ago, and he really performed well. He's the most expensive pitcher, and I do like him here. Then you just have like a lot of sort of middling guys, like you got Kyle Freeland, you got Cole Hamels, Luke Weaver, Junis, Chase Anderson. Not many good pitchers on this slate that I really want to play. But since our options are limited, we're going to have to find some. Obviously, I like Rich Hill. We'll talk about him first. Versus the Brewers, this is a good matchup for Rich Hill. He did face this team 2 starts ago in Miller Park and went 6 innings, allowed 5 hits, 1 run, got 9 strikeouts. We look at this projected lineup for the Brewers. There are a lot of strikeouts in here versus lefties, especially at the bottom of that lineup, like with Perez, Pena, Arcia, the pitcher. Moustakas is a good hitter, but he does have an increased K rate versus lefties. Yelich is a great hitter, but he strikes out more versus lefties. And the Brewers do only have a 3.6 implied run total for today. Rich Hill going to be pitching at home, so he's going to have a good favorable pitcher's park as well. Really like him here. 9,600. I think he is probably the top projected overall pitcher on this slate. He's been good his last few starts against the Braves and the Brewers. Done well in those two starts, and I think he keeps it going today in another matchup with the Brewers. Rich Hill, my favorite SP1 on this 6-game slate. Then SP2, there isn't a lot I love, but I did land on Luke Weaver here because he's very cheap, just 7K. He's going to be pitching at home, and he gets the Rockies, who are going to be away from Coors Field. We definitely want to pick on the Rockies when they're out of Coors Field. So I like Luke Weaver here. We look at the Rockies' implied run total and their projected lineup for tomorrow. Just a 3.9 implied run total. Luke Weaver, not much of a favorite here because Kyle Freeland's a decent pitcher as well. But like I said, looking at its projected lineup, definitely some Ks here, especially with guys like Story, increased K rate versus righties. He strikes out more versus righties. Cargo will strike out. Gerardo Parra will strike out. Iannetta will K. The pitcher will K. Garrett Hampson will strike out as well. So I like Luke Weaver here, even though he's been a very risky play just throughout this year. He's been so up and down this year. I think this is one of those starts where Weaver can definitely hit value. 15 to 20 DraftKings points I think is pretty possible for Luke Weaver. And I'm really just kind of looking for a pitcher that doesn't get blown up at SP2 at least, because a lot of these options are risky. Like Cole Hamels was the guy I was originally going to go with, but against the Pirates, that's just a tough matchup. The Pirates do have good hitters versus lefties. Not a lot of strikeouts there either, so I'm not sure if I want to play Hamels. Like Jacob Junis, I feel like could do well here against the White Sox, but that's a risky play as well. On the other side, Dylan Covey, I've been picking on this dude all year, but he is cheap and he's facing a Royals team that just sucks. So if you wanted to really just punt this position and play Dylan Covey, I could see that since he's only 5,900. But that's really it for pitcher. Like pitcher's really gross today. Anibal Sanchez has been actually pretty good this year, but he's priced up today. He's 8K, and the Marlins are a team that we know doesn't really strike out much. I think I'd rather just go down to Weaver for 1,000 less, who probably could outscore Anibal Sanchez easily today. So Rich Hill and Luke Weaver are definitely my favorite plays out of out of all the pitchers today. Those are definitely the pitchers I want to target. So now looking at bats, we'll start off at first base. Forgot to plug in Freddie Freeman. That's why there was only 2 plays there. Sorry about that. Freddie Freeman, definitely a guy I like at first base. 5,100 today. We can definitely pay up for him since there really aren't any expensive pitchers we have to jam in today. We've got salary to pay up for bats, and I do like the Braves as a stack today. Hopefully this game plays. I'm recording this at 8:30 on Tuesday night. The Braves game got delayed, but it is I saw where they tweeted out it's going to start at like 8:45. So as long as they get that game in, I'd imagine they're going to be able to get this game in as well tomorrow. We'll see how bad the weather is. But if it's not bad and they can get this game in, then I love the Braves stack here versus Pablo Lopez. Pablo Lopez, definitely a guy I do want to pick on. The Braves have a 5.2 implied run total today. And this lineup is just so good, just so much power. You got speed at the top there as well with Acuna, Albies, guys that have speed. Edgar Inciarte at the bottom of that lineup will steal. Dansby Swanson will steal. And obviously the power bats. Acuna has power. Albies has power. Freeman. Markakis can hit it out. Camargo's shown power this year. I just really like the Braves. Love Freddie Freeman here at 5,100. I think he's definitely worth paying up for. Then Ozzie Albies, kind of the same. Just goes for him as it did for Freeman. Love Albies batting the top of that lineup. Batting from his left side. He's shown a lot of power as a left-handed hitter this year. And facing a righty, obviously he'll be batting from his left side. So I love Albies and I love Freeman, and I just love the Braves stack in general today on this night slate. And then my last play here, sort of a one-off. I really like Matt Kemp. I think he has a lot of potential to hit a home run today versus Chase Anderson. He has had a lot of success versus Chase Anderson in the past. We look at the BVP, 8 for 22 with 2 home runs. Matt Kemp's just been a really good hitter this year. The dude's really improved. He doesn't strike out much. He's been putting the ball in play. I believe he leads the league in batting average. Just really sort of revived himself. And he's facing a pitcher today that I don't mind picking on, especially with some of these good bats the Dodgers have with Muncy, Machado, Grandal, Peterson, Matt Kemp. Bellinger has power. This lineup's just so good top to bottom. They added Brian Dozier. We'll see if he's in the lineup for Tuesday. We'll see if he plays. If he's able to play, then you could definitely consider Brian Dozier. But talking about Matt Kemp, I really like him here, and I think he has a lot of upside. Definitely one of my favorite plays in the outfield at 4,300 versus Chase Anderson. So yeah, guys, these are my 5 plays for the 6-game night slate. Rich Hill, Luke Weaver, Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, and Matt Kemp. So talking about stacks and BVP plays for this night slate before we get out of here. My top stack is definitely the Braves. Love them here versus Pablo Lopez. As long as the weather is fine in that game, I'm going to have a ton of exposure to the Braves. And then I would say my next favorite stack's probably the Dodgers. If you want to consider them versus Chase Anderson, I do like the Dodgers. And then you could go with a game stack here of the Royals and White Sox. The Royals don't really have hitters you want to roster, but you could definitely consider some of the White Sox, Moncada, Yomer Sanchez, Abreu, Palka. These guys versus Jake Junis, I think, make a ton of sense. These pitchers could pitch well, but they could also get absolutely blown up. So a game stack there, I feel like, does make a ton of sense. But yeah, BVP plays for this night slate before we get out of here. Starting off with Starling Marte, he's gone 6 for 15 with a home run versus Cole Hamels. Martin Prado, 15 for 36 with a home run versus Anibal Sanchez. Salvador Perez, 5 for 12 versus Dylan Covey. And Alex Gordon, 4 for 12 with a home run versus Covey. Matt Kemp, I mentioned that BVP earlier, 8 for 22 with 2 home runs. And Yasmani Grandal, 4 for 17, 3 home runs versus Chase Anderson. But yeah, that's it for BVP, that's it for stacks, and I think that is it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully this video did help you. If you did enjoy, just make sure you click that like button down below before you get out of here. And if you have not subscribed yet, like I mentioned, make sure you subscribe so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. And if you do have questions, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. Or you can always message me on Twitter. I am very active on Twitter. My DMs are open, so feel free to contact me there if you need to. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and good luck tonight on both slates, guys. Peace.